So apparently a Nintendo Direct is coming this month, and we're going to see 3D Mario. So according to a leaker named Nash Weedle, there's going to be a second Nintendo Direct in February, and it's going to be between February 16th and 20th, so at this point, less than 2 weeks, maybe even within the next week, and there's going to be a 3D Mario. So is this actually legit? I wouldn't confirm it yet. If it was from Nate the Hate, I would feel a lot more confident about it. He's probably the most reputable Nintendo leaker there is. Nash Weedle has gotten some things right. I believe he got Bonanza right, but he's been wrong about some other things. I think he had some info about the Switch 2 right. So take it as you will. I'm not saying he's right. I'm not saying he's wrong. The only way we'll know is if this is either confirmed or we just go by those dates and nothing happens. So with the general Direct, we're going to see a lot more than a 3D Mario if that happens, but of course that would be the big thing. Like, we haven't gotten a brand new full 3D Mario game since 2017, so almost 9 years at this point. And you've probably heard every argument there is about why we're not getting a 3D Mario this year, because Bonanza came out last year from the team that worked on Odyssey. But there started to be a lot more rumors ramping up about 3D Mario, just because it's been so long, because the new system is out now, and because as of now, we don't know what the big Nintendo game for 2026 is. And that was something that was kind of missing from last year. Like, we got Pokemon Legends EA, but there's a Pokemon game pretty much every year. We got Metroid Prime 4, which is just not big enough to carry Nintendo through a holiday season. Like, we've seen sales about that be mixed. I think at its best it sold over 1 million, which isn't bad for the series. That's not the game you want to headline the Christmas season with. So in all likelihood, we are getting a huge Nintendo game at the end of this year, besides Pokemon Gen 10, which I think is not, it's not confirmed, but that's very likely. So 3D Mario would make a lot of sense, because really the only other big game that they would announce that I think could headline the season would be a new Zelda, besides Pokemon, obviously. And I highly doubt we're getting a new 3D Zelda with Tears of the Kingdom coming out just 3 years ago. And then other series that are popular, like, I could see us getting a new Paper Mario, but once again, that's not one of Nintendo's biggest IPs. Like, Mario himself obviously is, but Paper Mario is more on the side. So you've already heard every single Nintendo YouTuber talk about 3D Mario, about if we're getting in 2026, if Nintendo's forgotten 3D Mario. You've heard things about it from other YouTubers, from me, so I don't want to talk too much about that here. I want to talk more about if I actually think this is happening, how I think this Direct will go, and what this means for Nintendo. So myself and many of you were disappointed that there was a partner Direct, because there has not been a Nintendo Direct since September, I believe, or a general Direct, and we don't really know about that many games for 2026. Like, we know about a few smaller games at Fire Emblem, which to its credit is pretty popular. We also don't know much about that. I'm sure a lot of people want to know more about the new Yoshi game, about Fire Emblem, about Splatoon Raiders, which I've seen some rumors say it could be pushed to like 2027. I don't know if that's true. But the Switch 2 is lacking in first-party games right now. Like, we have some games, but we don't have some of the heavy hitters you'd expect. In terms of actual content, I mean, we've gotten a decent amount of Switch 2 games from Nintendo, but look at the Switch 1 where we had Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Splatoon 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Like, it just felt like there was a stronger lineup for the first year of the Switch. And there's a couple of games I'm looking forward to this year, but there's no big game I'm really happy about getting my Switch 2 so I could play this. So I'm personally happy with my Switch 2. I think it's a great system. But if I wasn't a big Nintendo fan, I probably wouldn't have gotten it. But really, besides Bonanza for me, there hasn't been that exclusive Switch 2 seller. And for the sales of the system, I know a lot of people have talked about the sales being bad for the Switch 2. And no, the sales are not bad for the Switch 2. Did the sales disappoint in the holiday season? Apparently. But still, the Switch 2 is selling incredibly well, but it could slow down. If Nintendo doesn't have enough first-party support for this, or enough first-party system sellers, then yeah, I could see the sales slowing down. Is that a guarantee? I think that at the Switch 2's floor is probably at least like another 50 million units, which would put it around 70 million. I've had mixed thoughts about the Switch 2, like, before it launched. Like, I wasn't sure about its success, and I don't think there's any chance it comes close to the original Switch, where that's probably going to sell 160 million when it's all said and done. I think the Switch 2 more than likely will settle around like 100 million at this point, just because it isn't as accessible as the original. Like, there's more competition now. There was no competition to the Switch pretty much when it came out. It was a new thing, it was cheaper. So I don't think many people are expecting the Switch 2 to be a bigger success than the Switch. Plus, it's not innovative. Like, it's a great system, it's more powerful, but it's not innovative. And if you look at Nintendo's history, it seems like every other console is innovative. Like, NES was innovative, SNES wasn't, Nintendo 64 was, GameCube wasn't, Wii, and so on. So the Switch 2 is not an innovative console, so they really have to get more people on board to play their games, because it's not like with the Switch 1 where if you want to play console quality games on the go, you have to get a Switch. There's the Steam Deck, there's the ROG Ally, I think there's a couple other ones. So yes, it's successful so far, but having a weak lineup of games is not going to help it. And there definitely is some turmoil at Nintendo right now with this. I know the investors weren't happy. So the instant Nintendo announces a new 3D Mario, and it's what people want, so the instant Nintendo announces a new 3D Mario, their stock price probably goes up. I think maybe even a Direct would have it go up a little bit. Plus, we're still only in the second month of the year. Like, this would be a great way to set up 2026. tell us more about the games we already know about, give a few big announcements, and start to fill out the rest of the year. Like, there's going to be more announcements, obviously, for the rest of the year, but start to fill out that calendar. Like, let us know the games that are coming out in the first half of the year, because we don't have set dates for pretty much any of them, besides like Pokopia, whatever it's called, and Tomodachi Life, and Mario Tennis Fever, which comes out like this week. So show us more about the games that are coming out soon, and then start to give more info about later on in the year, like some summer releases, some fall releases. I'm not asking for a whole overview of some of these games, but just letting fans know that these exist, that they have more they're working on. That would go a long way to getting some goodwill back, especially after the very unpopular Partner Direct. Because yeah, it's great that the Switch 2 has this third-party support, it's getting all these ports, but we want to know about actual Nintendo games. Like, actual games that make you say, I want to get a Switch 2 if you don't have one. Like, I personally know people that just have not gotten a Switch 2 yet because they just don't see the reason to. There's not enough games that have appealed to them yet. A friend of mine who's a pretty big Nintendo fan still hasn't bought it just because the only game that's interested him so far has been Bonanza, and it's a big purchase. I know it's not unreasonably priced. You could get it for $450, but then again, with tax, it's going to be around $500, and you're probably getting a bundle, so you're going to be spending well over $500 no matter what. So that is a big commitment, and if you don't feel it's worth it yet, it's hard to convince yourself to buy that. And this Direct can really change everything. If they have a stellar Direct, which they haven't in a long time, like, that could definitely get some people to buy a Switch 2. Now, what would I expect in this Direct? I went over this in another video if you want to check that out. So besides 3D Mario, I think something has to happen for Zelda's anniversary. Even if it's not a remake, they have to have something for Zelda. Like, I'd just be very surprised if they completely skipped over the 40th anniversary. Like, remember with Mario when there was all the videos speculating about it, and everyone was like, no, we're not getting it, and then you got the announcement for the Direct. I could see something like that happening. That's what really leads me to believe that this could actually happen. If we didn't have Zelda's 40th anniversary, I would actually be a lot less likely to believe this, but it would just really surprise me if they had absolutely nothing for this. Like, even for Zelda's 35th, we got something. You're telling me they're just gonna skip the 40th when they have a new console out? I just find that hard to believe. I think we're gonna get a new Paper Mario game this year, even if it is a remake, because another thing I went over in another video is for the past, I don't know how many years, we've gotten a new Mario RPG of some kind, whether it's a remake or a new game, every 2 years at least. I unfortunately think we're going to see more Switch 2 editions. I think we're going to see Pikmin 4, because Nintendo has really been pushing these, like, just to fill out release windows. And outside of other new games, I know Luigi's Mansion 4 has been something that's been rumored. I don't know if they would announce that in the same Direct as a 3D Mario. Like, I feel like if they're going to do that, it would probably be a later on announcement, so it's probably one or the other. And I'm expecting a surprise game, like something we're not necessarily expecting to be a game Nintendo's releasing, whether it's Kid Icarus, Star Fox, something completely random, something completely new. I just have a feeling that there's going to be something like that, because Nintendo always does that for their new consoles at some point. Like, we got Dragon Drive, which I guess if you want to count that as Nintendo's, like, brand new IP for this, but be honest, you probably already forgot about that. That was a very small, like, eShop game. At least for the Switch 1, we got ARMS, which I know it's not the best game of all time, it's not the biggest game of all time, but it was pretty popular, actually. Got a full physical release, even got a Smash Fighter. For the Wii U, we got Nintendo Land at launch, which is a fantastic game, and I hope it comes back someday. Maybe we even get, like, an ARMS 2 or something, because why not? It's not the same as Splatoon. Like, when I should have mentioned Splatoon for the Wii U, but that was a little later on in the Wii U's life. It's not as popular or marketable as that, but it definitely has a good cast of characters. It is a fun game for what it is, so I could definitely see something like that happening. And it's impossible to speculate about what exactly we're going to see. There's an infinite amount of things that we could see. There could be more third-party support that we just didn't see. Maybe there's bigger announcements they wanted to just say for a regular Direct. I don't know. I really hope this rumor is correct, because I've been waiting for a Nintendo Direct. And I'm sure we've all been waiting for a new 3D Mario. I want Nintendo to show us that 3D Mario has something coming soon, because this has been the longest wait by far since 3D Mario started with 64. So I'm just hoping that it means this is going to be the biggest 3D Mario ever. So anyway, let me know in the comments. Do you think we're actually going to see this Direct? What do you want to see? Are we seeing a new 3D Mario? Be sure to subscribe.